During a heated argument, my husband scoffed, "You can leave, but the house stays with me." I changed the deed already. He waved the paper in my face, smirking. I chuckled and said, "You might want to double-check that." His jaw dropped as he read the fine print. I met my husband, Mark, in Austin, Texas in 2009. We were both in our late 20s, just out of grad school, trying to figure life out. I was working as a nurse, he was a software developer. He had a quiet charm, nothing flashy, but solid, dependable. Or at least that's what I thought back then. We dated for about 2 years before he proposed. Small ceremony, courthouse wedding, followed by barbecue and beer at his cousin's backyard. We were happy. Or at least I thought we were. In 2014, we bought a small but decent home just outside of Round Rock. It needed work, but it was ours. We were finally putting down roots. I poured myself into making it a home. Painted every wall, laid down tiles in the bathroom myself, even landscaped the backyard. Mark was never really into house stuff. He preferred sitting in front of his dual monitors, coding all day and night. I didn't mind it much at first. I figured we just had different roles. But slowly, I noticed he was withdrawing. Less conversations, less affection, less everything. By 2019, we were roommates more than spouses. I tried talking to him. I begged for therapy. I asked what was wrong. He brushed me off every time with, "I'm just tired," or "work is stressful." But something in my gut told me there was more. That's when I started noticing the texts. He had always been protective of his phone, but one night he left it on the charger in the kitchen. A message popped up from someone named T. My heart dropped. I opened it. "Can't wait to see you again next week." My knees almost gave out. I took screenshots. I quietly started digging. Turns out T was Tanya, his coworker. And not just a coworker, his boss. A married boss. I didn't confront him right away. I needed a plan. So I did what any sane woman in a marriage that's falling apart would do. I started protecting myself. I spoke with a lawyer. I checked our finances. That's when I noticed something strange. The house deed had recently been changed. Quietly, without telling me. My name had been removed. I was stunned. I remember reading it over and over, trying to make sense of what I was looking at. This house that I had poured my life into. The house I had painted, tiled, cleaned, made memories in was now legally his. And he had done it behind my back. That was when something inside me snapped. The betrayal was so deep it didn't even hurt anymore. It just felt cold. Sharp. Focused. I kept playing dumb. I cooked, I cleaned, I smiled. I acted like everything was fine. Meanwhile, I quietly moved money from our joint account into a new account in my name. I sold a few valuables he never cared about. I contacted a realtor. I got the house appraised. I talked to my lawyer. I kept every receipt, every document, every screenshot of him with Tanya. Then, 2 months later, it happened. The final argument. It was a Sunday evening. He was already drunk when he walked in, slurring his words, stinking of cologne that wasn't his usual. I stayed calm. He stormed into the living room, holding a piece of paper and waving it in my face. "You think you're clever?" he snarled. "Well, newsflash, this house is mine. I changed the deed. You can leave, but the house stays with me." He smirked like he had just won the lottery. "Here," he said, holding the paper up like a trophy. "See for yourself." I took it, glanced at it, and smiled. "You might want to double-check that," I said softly. His smirk faltered. "What?" "Page 3, I said, pointing. "The fine print." He looked. His eyes scanned the page. And then, I'll never forget it, his face went pale. Like he had seen a ghost. His jaw dropped. He stumbled backward, gripping the couch. He had missed it. The quitclaim deed he had filed wasn't valid. Not fully. Because I had already filed a legal hold on the property title 2 weeks earlier. My name couldn't be removed without my signature, and the document he submitted had a forged one. Forgery. On a government form. That's a felony. I stood there and watched as the reality sank in. He tried to speak, but no words came out. I let the silence stretch. You screwed up, Mark, I said quietly. And now I'm going to take everything. And that, Reddit, is where I'm at now. No ending yet. I've filed for divorce. The police are investigating the forgery. Tanya? Her husband knows now. He messaged me on Facebook, thanking me for the screenshots. Her job? Probably on the line too. This isn't over. Not by a long shot. But I thought I'd share this part. Because sometimes, when you feel like you've lost everything, you realize you still have your mind, your spine, your voice. And that's enough to burn it all down. The day after that argument, I packed a bag. Not because I was leaving for good, oh no, but because I knew I needed space to think. I booked a room at a hotel downtown in Austin. Nothing fancy, just quiet. Mark didn't follow me. He didn't even text. I think he knew he messed up. He knew I wasn't bluffing. And honestly, that scared him more than anything. The next morning, I got a call from my lawyer. "We've got movement," she said. Turns out, Mark had already tried to file for divorce, quietly, a few weeks before I found the deed papers. He was trying to beat me to the punch, to catch me off guard, and probably make me look like the one who walked out. But he made a mistake. He used an old address for me. I never got the papers. Which means the court didn't process it. Another stupid, sloppy mistake. And now I had the upper hand. Later that week, I finally went back to the house. Not to talk, I was done talking. But to get more of my things. I wasn't expecting Tanya to be there. Yep. She was in my kitchen, wearing my apron, drinking coffee out of the mug my sister got me last Christmas. I froze in the doorway. She didn't even flinch. "Oh," she said, without looking up. "Didn't think you'd be back so soon." I stared at her. This woman, this smug, middle-aged version of a high school mean girl, was standing in my house like she owned the place. And Mark? He was sitting at the table, scrolling on his phone, acting like this was all normal. "You need to leave," I said to Tanya, my voice low. She laughed. "I don't think so, honey." That's when I lost it. I walked over, grabbed the mug from her hand, and threw it straight into the sink. It shattered. Mark jumped up. "Jesus, calm down." "No," I said, shaking. "No more calm. Get out. Both of you." They didn't move. So I pulled out my phone, hit record, and said clearly, "I am the legal co-owner of this home. You are trespassing. I have filed for divorce, and you are both now in violation of the court's temporary occupancy order." That part wasn't even true. The court hadn't issued anything yet. But it worked. Mark flinched. Tanya grabbed her purse. "Come on," she hissed. "This is a waste of time." They left. And for the first time in weeks, the house was quiet again. But it didn't last long. 2 days later, someone egged my car in the driveway. I didn't even have to guess who. Tanya had that petty streak. She thought she was untouchable. I installed cameras the next day. Then Mark started getting desperate. I think he realized that Tanya wasn't going to stick around if this whole thing got ugly. And it was getting ugly. Her husband, now ex-husband, was demanding half her assets. Her job was under review. Everything was spiraling. So Mark tried to crawl back. He called, he texted. He sent flowers. Actual flowers. The man hadn't bought me anything in 3 years, and now suddenly I was his whole world? Please. Then came the worst part. He showed up to my work. I was in the hospital cafeteria on my lunch break when he walked in, carrying a bouquet of yellow roses. My coworkers looked up, confused. I felt my stomach drop. "Just 5 minutes," he said. I stood up, walked straight past him, and tossed the roses into the trash. Everyone saw. I didn't care. But the pressure was building. The lawyers were talking back and forth. He refused to move out. I couldn't sell the house unless he agreed. And now the DA's office was involved. The forgery on the deed was no joke. Then, twist number 2 hit me. One morning, I got a letter in the mail from the IRS. Apparently, Mark hadn't paid his taxes properly for 2 years. He'd filed under married filing separately, something I didn't even know he could do without my consent, and underreported income. And because we were still legally married at the time, they were auditing me too. I felt like I couldn't breathe. Everything kept crashing in. Every time I thought I had a grip, something else slipped. I called my lawyer. She was calm, thankfully. "This can work in our favor," she said. "This shows a pattern of dishonesty. It strengthens our case." I nodded, but I didn't feel stronger. I felt tired. Angry. Like my whole life had been one big, careful lie he built while I wasn't looking. Then came a call that changed everything again. It was Tanya. I didn't even recognize her number. She said her name, and I almost hung up. But then she said, "Wait, I need to talk. Please." I sat down. I hit record on my phone without saying anything. She told me everything. She admitted she knew about the forged deed. Said she helped him do it. Said he told her I'd never fight back. That I was too soft. That he'd leave me with nothing and they'd start a new life in the house I built. But now that it was all crumbling, she wanted out. And she wanted to clear her name before it got worse. "I'll testify if I have to," she said. I thanked her, but inside, I felt nothing. Just a dull, bitter ache. Like the truth had already rotted too long to hurt fresh anymore. So that's where I'm at, Reddit. Mark is facing criminal charges. The divorce is getting messier by the day. Tanya's job is hanging by a thread. And I'm still living in a half-empty house that feels like a war zone. No ending yet. No peace yet. But I'm still standing. A week after Tanya called me, things went eerily quiet. Too quiet. No texts from Mark. No emails from his lawyer. No creepy surprise visits. It was almost like he'd vanished. At first, I thought maybe he'd given up. Maybe the threat of criminal charges and the truth about the forged deed had finally made him back off. I should have known better. The silence was the warning. I got a knock at my door one morning, not police, not the sheriff's office, but a private process server. Mark was suing me. He was claiming emotional distress. Yeah, I laughed too. Apparently, I had caused him undue mental anguish by spreading false accusations and sabotaging his professional relationships. I guess in his twisted world, getting caught for actual forgery and cheating made me the villain. It was a joke. A cruel one. But it was enough to tie my hands again in court. Now I had to deal with this lawsuit on top of everything else. And my lawyer said we couldn't just ignore it. We had to respond, show up, defend it. Meanwhile, Tanya went silent too. She stopped answering my texts. I figured Mark had gotten to her. Or maybe she realized testifying could cost her more than she was willing to give up. But then the twist came. One night, I got a call from an unknown number. It was Tanya's ex-husband, Carlos. "I found something," he said. Apparently, while going through the final parts of their divorce, he got access to an old laptop she had been using. On it, emails between her and Mark, dating back years. And not just about the affair. Emails about money. About property. About me. Turns out, Mark had been trying to hide assets. Before the affair even went public. He was funneling money through an LLC in Tanya's name. Thousands, maybe tens of thousands, that he'd been slowly taking from our joint account and payroll under a fake consulting fee. This was big. I handed everything over to my lawyer. She was stunned. "This changes the entire game," she said. "This isn't just revenge anymore. This is fraud. Financial crime." A few days later, subpoenas went out. Bank accounts. Business records. Emails. I was no longer just a woman in a messy divorce. I was a key witness in an active fraud investigation. And here's the part that really threw me. Mark didn't deny it. When he got wind that we had the emails, he just folded. His lawyer dropped him. He stopped showing up to hearings. I think he realized there was no more bluffing left to do. But of course, he had one last card to play. One night, I was sitting on the back porch with a glass of wine, just trying to breathe, when I heard the creak of the gate. Mark was standing there. He looked terrible, like he hadn't slept in days. Hair a mess, face sunken. No smirk this time, just a look of pure, broken desperation. "I just wanted to talk," he said, voice low. I didn't respond. I reached slowly for my phone and started recording. He didn't notice. "I messed everything up," he said. "She left me. Tanya. She's gone. I stayed quiet. I've got nothing now, he went on. No job, no lawyer, no money. I'm probably going to jail. And you always win, don't you? He stepped forward. That's when I stood up and said clearly, you need to leave. Right now. Or I'm calling the police. He looked like he might cry. Or scream. Or both. But finally, he turned and walked away. The next morning, I got another surprise. A call from Tanya. She was back. I'm testifying, she said. I'm done protecting him. And just like that, the final piece clicked into place. The puzzle was complete. Mark's entire web of lies, the forged deed, the fake consulting company, the affair, all of it was about to come crashing down. But like I said before, there's no ending yet. Court dates are scheduled. Witness lists are being built. Tanya's testifying. Carlos is too. The DA is watching closely. And me? I'm just sitting here in the house I fought for, the house he tried to steal, waiting for the final chapter to unfold. Because one thing's for sure now, the storm isn't over. It's just getting started. Court day came. It wasn't just divorce court now. It was criminal court, civil court, family court, all mashed together in a chaotic mess. The courtroom was packed. Mark looked like a ghost in a cheap suit. Tanya walked in like she had something to prove. I walked in like I was dragging years of betrayal on my back, but still standing tall. First, they laid out the fraud case. The judge listened as the DA explained how Mark had faked my signature, altered property records, and funneled money through a fake company. Tanya took the stand and confirmed it all. Her voice shook, but she didn't flinch. Then came Carlos. He brought in printed emails and spreadsheets, proof that the shell company never did real work, just took money out of Mark's business and stashed it in secret accounts. Mark tried to argue it was misunderstood bookkeeping. The judge didn't buy it. Then it was my turn. I told the truth. All of it. From the day I found the text message to the night Mark waved the forged deed in my face. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just told it straight, because the facts were already louder than anything I could scream. But I wasn't innocent either. When it came time to discuss the financials during the divorce, Mark's lawyer, a new, court-appointed one, brought up my secret account. The money I moved out of our joint fund before filing. The valuables I sold without telling him. My lawyer stepped in quickly. She moved it to protect herself. There was no intent to hide, all of it is documented. The judge paused. Still, she moved joint assets without informing the court. I held my breath. She'll be required to return half. I nodded. Fair was fair. I didn't like it, but I owned it. I wasn't perfect. I played dirty too, even if I felt justified at the time. Then came the final judgment. Mark was found guilty of forgery and fraud. 3 years probation, fines, and a criminal record. He avoided jail barely, but he'd never work in tech again. Every job offer would see fraud stamped on his background check like a curse. Tanya lost her job. Her boss fired her after the court found out she'd been part of the fake consulting deal. She moved out of Austin. Word is, she's in Dallas now, trying to start fresh. Carlos? He got custody of their 2 kids. As for me, I got the house. Full ownership. The judge ruled that the forged deed proved Mark had no legal or moral right to it. He had tried to steal it, and the court made sure he'd never set foot in it again. But here's the twist I didn't see coming. After the dust settled, I stood in my kitchen one night alone. The house was mine. Every paper said so. But it didn't feel like a victory. I felt empty. Turns out, winning doesn't erase the years you gave to someone who never deserved them. I had let my marriage rot for too long. I ignored red flags. I told myself things would get better. I let myself become a woman who snooped and plotted and recorded conversations like she was living in a soap opera. So yeah, I got revenge. I burned him to the ground. But I lost something too. Trust. Peace. Part of myself. That's the cost of war, even when you win. Still, I sleep better now. The house is quiet. The air is clean. Mark's name is gone from everything. And sometimes, when I walk past the bathroom I tiled by hand, I whisper, "This is mine now." Not because it matters anymore, but because I earned it. Every damn inch.